Welcome to the Business Outlook Survey press conference call. My name is Catherine Dibling, Public Affairs Specialist at the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, and with me today is Michael Trebing, also with the bank. Today we will take questions from reporters about what our manufacturers had to say about business activity in April. First, Mike will get a brief summary. Mike?
Thanks, Kathy. The indicators from our district manufacturing survey suggest that activity is holding mostly steady this month. The diffusion indexes for general activity was only slightly positive again, suggesting little growth. But other indicators were mixed, for example, with the shipments index rising, but employment index falling back this month. All this is suggesting that growth was still not taking hold for many firms. Our price indicators are continuing to indicate moderating cost pressures and, on balance, some declines for the manufactured goods of the surveyed firms. And in responses to special questions this month about the trend of underlying demand, firms indicated that growth in demand had increased, albeit moderately, in recent months. And although changes in the 6-month indexes this month were suggesting growth was expected, the level of optimism was not as great as in the previous month. And firms' employment forecasts continue to be rather weak.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Kathleen, questions?
I have to say plunge in inventory index really caught my attention. Is there any sense that manufacturers are drawing down inventories because in response to weak demand, or because demand was so strong they now find themselves with less demand? With fewer inventories on hand.
There's really no telling from the way we ask the questions, just about the story with shipments and inventories. You're right. We had a big increase in the share of firms decreasing inventories from about 19% to 34%. It's a pretty big jump. So it looks like some of the business activity was related to just drawing down inventories. That would be my guess. But the comments really didn't provide any indicator of one cause over another, but the indexes overall, the broad indicators were similarly very slightly positive this month, with the exception of shipments. So the rise in shipments could have been associated with the drawdown of inventories rather than production.
Okay, thanks.
I believe there's someone else on the line. May we have your name?
Yes, hi, it's Ellen at Reuters. How are you?
Hi, Ellen. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Sorry. Let me listen first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kathleen Madigan, Dow Jones, a follow-up question?
When you asked about the demand, the special questions and the underlying demand, did you give them a point estimate for significantly and moderately? I'm just wondering how we could characterize what exactly moderate means.
No, it was pretty much the way the question was described in the write-up. Just the gradients of whether the underlying demand over the last 3 months had increased significantly, moderately, not changed, or decreased moderately or significantly. And
okay,
as you can see in the results table, that they're mostly concentrated in the increase moderately answer, with the overall tally being 55% some increase and 29% some decrease.
Okay, Ellen Froelich, Reuters.
Maybe you could just repeat, if you have time, your initial sort of summary.
Oh, sure. I read the statement that the indicators from our district manufacturing survey suggest that activity is holding mostly steady this month. The diffusion indexes for general activity was only slightly positive, suggesting little growth. But the other indicators were mixed, for example, with the shipments index rising, but the employment index falling back. And all this suggesting that growth was still not taking hold for many firms, and that our price indicators are continuing to indicate moderate cost pressures, or moderating cost pressures, and on balance, some declines for the manufactured goods of the firms that we surveyed. We just talked about the special questions, and on the 6-month side, the overall index was still suggesting growth, but the levels of optimism were not as great as in the previous month, and firms' employment forecasts continue to be rather weak.
Okay. Follow-up questions, Kathleen
Thank you.
Madigan, Dow Jones.
Nothing for me, thanks.
Okay, Ellen Froelich, Reuters.
No, I think it's clear, thank you.
Okay, good morning.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. You've just been watching April's Business Outlook Survey press conference call. My name is Catherine Dibling, Public Affairs Specialist with the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, and with me today has been Michael Trebbing in the Research Department. Look for May's survey at 10 a.m. on Thursday, May 16th.